Hey guys, Rod here. In this video I'm going to talk to you about how I converted a toy grade 1/18 scale a little rock crawler into essentially a hobby grade vehicle, giving it proportional steering and speed control throttle. These little trucks, these little rock crawlers, they're made by a company called SZJJX rock crawler, and they're only like about 30 bucks from Amazon. Anyways, originally got these for my son, and was really liked the several aspects of these, as far as the performance, the power that it provides. It's a motor on axle design, so you've got two motors in here. The power and the geometry of the suspension and the way that it handles is actually really good stock out of the box. However, being a toy grade, it's got just all one speed forward and backward, and all left and all right. It's not proportional, and so I want to give a shout out to a channel called MNDA TV, who's got a video out that where they modified one of these and they did the conversion over, and so that really gave me an inspiration to take on this project. And but I set out, as a goal to do it and try to keep everything contained and without any wires hanging out, and to make it as functional as possible. One of the things I really like about these as well is it's really it's not so much of a crawler, but more like a rock bouncer, and I really like the rock bouncers as far as that style of off-roading, a little more aggressive and high speed. So anyway, definitely encourage you, if you're interested in doing this, to take a look at MNDA TV's video. And it's so what I did basically, you could see that the biggest difference, if you look at these two, is up front here. On the stock one here, you can see that big, it's like a pseudo servo up at the front axle there, and so you've got to take that apart, remove it, and then you've got to cut off some of the plastic anchor points on there and make it flat over the axle. For a new servo, I went with a micro servo here. It's made by AGFRC sub micro servo, 13 grams weight, and it's got 3.8 kg of torque, I believe. You can see it there, that little servo there. And yeah, this is working out, so far so good. Seems to have enough power. I just finished a really fun test run on this, and really happy with how it performs. So that's a big part of it, is to take that stock, fake servo out of there, that all one direction servo out of there, and get. And what I did is I used a piece of this right angle aluminum. I think that's maybe 1/8 inch aluminum. These right angle piece here. Use a piece of that and fabricated a mount to which I attached the servo there, and you can see just had to do some cutting with the jigsaw and some sanding and to get that the right size. And I was able to mount the servo with actual some bolts and nuts in there, so I could replace it if need be. And the servo arm, I used one of the servo horn that came with the servo, and I was able to attach it to the steering arm here with a size 4 40 thread screw coming in from the back, with a lock washer, regular washer, and just a regular nut to hold it in, and it seems to work great. So that's the servo setup, running the wires in here. Now, as far as the guts of the vehicle, had to remove that from the stock one. And let me just explain how I did that. Now, I already undid the body screws. There's 4 body screws on the bottom here, so I've got it so that the body just comes off now. And there's an interior There's a, I don't know if you can see that on the stock one here. You can see that in here with the seats and steering wheel. That separates from the outer shell, and so you separate those two, and then you got to cut off. What I did is I cut out a majority of that interior here. I don't know if you could see inside there. I can show you this one. You see I cut out that interior, a majority of it, except for a little bit of the back there. And with a Dremel tool circular saw blade, which I really like for these kind of things, and I showed that in a previous video of mine. It's used for a lot of the cutting, and that creates the space where you've got where the circuit board, the tray where the electronics and the circuit board, that all comes out, and then I cut off, cleaned up the inside of that tray, cut off some of the plastic pieces, and kind of Dremel tooled some of it out just to get it all smoothed out there, and gives me plenty of space for the electronics. Now, as far as the electronics, converting it to hobby grade, so basically added a receiver, a ESC in there, and I went with a FlySky transmitter receiver combo. It's a RC3 transmitter, and it's the GR3E receiver that off of Amazon. Pretty reasonable price. I think it was like 40 something bucks maybe, and and then you could use the transmitter. You could buy additional receivers for in the future. So that was kind of an investment with this thing. And what I did here is, to have that all cleaned up, I was able to use Velcro and attach I got the receiver attached with Velcro here, and sitting in there. And the speed controller is this little guy right there, one of these micro speed controllers. You can see that. Now that is a Power Day RC ESC 10 amp speed control from Amazon. And they have one with a brake and one without a brake. I got the one with the brake, and I think maybe that might have been a mistake. It does have some glitches with the throttle. Occasionally, I got to double pump it. It's not a big deal. I'll probably just going to get the one with no brake, and I think that should fix that, hopefully. But anyway, it's generally working really good as I have it set up here, with the speed controller, the FlySky receiver, the servo plugs right in. Now, as far as the battery goes, I'm going to have to take that out and show you what I've done with the battery. But for this setup, for the conversion, I found on Amazon using this. It's a 2S Lipo battery. The company's Blomicky. I don't know if you can see that there. But these are off Amazon. And this is a 2S, 7.4 volt, 30C discharge rate, and it's 1,000 milliamp hours. I had to put a Jst connector on there. I'm running Jst connectors because that's what's on the ESC. So I just cut off the connector it came with and put in a male. I think it is Jst, and I've got an extension Jst going through there, and plug it into the speed control here. And so the battery is running really, testing this out, this 1,000 milliamp hour with this setup. It's beautiful. It gave me like a full hour, and I didn't even run it out of runtime on my test run session, which I just put videos up tonight, guys. You got to check that out and see how this thing performs on some really tough trails and very steep hills, and was really impressed with it. And anyway, so this battery is a good setup, this Lipo battery. Didn't burn out any motors yet. I burned out a couple of motors already on these after some pretty hard use, and you could order replacements from Banggood. So now to connect, the most difficult thing probably is in this modification, the conversion, is to connect the two motor wires to the ESC. And it's basically, you have to splice them. You have to combine the positives, combine the negatives from the front and the rear motors. The cable comes in through here, and splice those together, and splice it to make a T connector, basically, to go to one. So it all plugs into one Jst connector for the ESC there. And I kind of got it. I soldered it and shrink wrapped it. doing that, and it's pretty good. You know, seems pretty solid the way I did it here. I don't know if you can see this, the shrink wrap, and there's soldering in there. And then to help with the project, I just wanted to mention, if somebody's, I'm a total newbie at RCs, so this was like the first major project I did. And anyways, I found to do these connections for these Jst Connections and the ESC. These little, I guess the company's eBoot, and they're these little Jst male and female connector with some leads and some bare leads connected to them, and these are super handy. This definitely enabled me to be able to, you know, make the different various connections, and you know, you could solder them and shrink wrap them, use a little skinny shrink wrap, and connect everything up. Yeah, so super impressed with the performance. Definitely encourage you to take a look at the videos of the test run I did today. There's 3 parts to it to show you how this thing, the capabilities, really impressive. Again, it's like a rock bouncer, and I actually really like the, you know, it performs like to scale pretty well as far as a rock bouncer. You know, for, you know, $30 stock, you know, I think I put in, if you count the full cost of the receiver, that's the most expensive thing, the transmitter receiver combo, it's like comes out to be like $60 additional, but this is going to be invested towards additional cars. So I mean, really under $100 if you look at it that way, maybe $80 to get a vehicle that's just really performs well. And if you like to scamper up stuff, and also I was really impressed with the slow crawling ability. If you watch the videos, and you know, in the middle parts, you'll see it could crawl really slow, just as good as the SZJJX I have, but then you can also punch it and really get some wheel speed and bounce up stuff, and it's pretty fun. You guys, a couple other things I like about these little crawlers is I mentioned the geometry and the power of the motors and the speed range. The tires are actually, I like them. I think they're pretty good. The tread pattern on them, I don't know what that's based off of. It's not branded or anything, but it's a really good tread pattern for the sort of terrain that I like to do, as far as you know, rocks, quite a bit of loose stuff too, not so much mud. Living here in California, we don't get a lot of mud where I'm at, but like the tires, they're not super soft. But what I found, a couple mods that I've done to these, you know, do the WD-40 on the tires, you know, let it soak in for a few hours, definitely softens it up, seems to improve the grip. And I try to do that, you know, every maybe 2 or 3 times out. I'll redo the WD-40 on those tires. These little shocks here that are on here, you know, they're not oil filled or anything like that, like friction shock. But what I've done with these is similar to the SZJX24, is I've taken these apart. You could take those off and you put a little bit of grease in there. I've done that to these, and it does seem to really kind of just smooth them out. And it's got, you know, fairly good articulation on the suspension there. You know, it's pretty good flex on there. I don't know if you can see how that flexes. If I do it on here, it's like it's as big as a tire height flex if you do the flex test. Anyway, just a couple of things, guys. Thought I'd mention that too. Hey guys, just a couple of things forgot to mention. If anybody wants to do this out there, feel free to drop me a line, leave me some questions. Happy to answer them for you. Just forgot to mention for the mount, the servo mount that I made out of that aluminum, the right angle piece. The way I attach it, once you get this, the top part of this axle, the front axle, smoothed out and cut away and smoothed out, I attached that with super glue. And it's pretty solid. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's a little sketchy using the super glue. You got to move quickly, but if you get your ducks in a line, and it get it in the right position, it seems to be holding real good on there. Anyway, just wanted to mention those couple things, guys. Thanks. Anyways, guys, hey, really appreciate you watching, and thanks a lot.